All right.
Oh, this is the big Florian reveal. He's never shown his face in any of our podcasts.
So that is
Yeah.
the difference between Austria and Germany.
Yeah,
Well,
when
then
Germans
in
say to
a
do
dark
something, the
room.
Austrians listen.
Available in Austria. So
It's not showing up, is it? What's up?
I'm Florian.
There you
There
are.
you go.
There's our boy.
I need to turn up the light so you can see me.
No, yeah.
This is the ideal lighting.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
dark and yellow. This camera always goes yellow if I'm...
Like piss yellow.
Okay, fine. I guess I'll turn on the light.
It's very cinematic. You
Yeah.
should keep it that way.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's what I'm
Like-
saying.
Yeah, no, you should have kept it that way. It's cinematic. It's moody.
Henry
Yeah, I can-
portray of a serial killer.
Yeah.
What, me?
Austria.
Wow.
I remember I was at a bar and I met Michael Rooker at a bar, and everyone was going to him going like, "Oh, I love Guardians of the Galaxy," and he passed by me. I go, "I think your best film was Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer," and he just looked at me and goes, "Man, you're fucked up," and then walked away.
Or Slither. So they shot Slither. Are you taping it already, or whatever? How's it going? Like you just,
No, we're waiting for one more guy. Where's E Rich?
Yeah,
You
if
guys
he
know?
doesn't show up in like 2 minutes, we can just start without him and he can show up if he wants.
Oh, here he is.
Oh, perfect.
Cool.
So everyone the right volume now, because you were a bit loud earlier, Isaac.
Isaac.
I gotta change my name here. Wait.
Oh no, my docs too. Nobody can know my name.
Yeah, no one can know your name.
there's
Whoa,
already
E
got the
Rich
camera
himself.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There's the man. Dude, your hair's looking great lately. I was not expecting that at all.
I got a long mane.
I love it. I'm trying to grow mine out a little bit like that too.
I'm the only one with big headphones. Wow.
It's because you have that Binding of Isaac money. I can't afford that.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Is It Kino, your favorite movie review podcast. And today, folks, we are breaking the mold because we are joined here in the studio live by the writer, director, producer, and star of the movie we are discussing. But before we introduce him, let's get to the usual riffraff, starting with E. Rich McCoy,
That's right, it's E-Rich here.
Florian Himsel,
Yeah, big time Postal fan. Here we go.
and the Kino Corner.
What's up, everyone? So, well, you guys know me. You love to make fun of me, not as much as Florian, but but you know us all the same. But who you don't know is who we're joined here today, and that is Mr. Uwe Boll, director of films like Far Cry, House of the Dead, and last but not least, Postal, which is a cult classic. It's a movie that shocks, offends. I actually on the Blu-ray cover, you call it offensive and disgusting and funny, which I think is fitting. And also, I wanted to talk to Uwe today because some big news about your work is that you're actually getting Postal and a few of your other movies restored. Is that correct? You're doing a new release of it.
Yes, so we finally got a hold of it. Was hard to find the material, the interpositive, make a 4K version. So now it's all in a lab in LA and gets like remastered in 4K. And I think it will look different, right? It will look better as it looked before. And so I think it could rejuvenile Postal, hopefully, you know. So, and because it's similar to what you said, it has a huge cult following, but just in the internet and DVD, Blu-ray community, right? So Blu-ray, I think Postal is the only film I ever made, not sold to Netflix, not sold really to Amazon, or Apple or whatever, right? So the streamers, they never bought it. It's there, you can watch it, but it's like, of course, just loaded up by the distributors. And I think it deserves some more attention because it's still kind of very accurate. You know, political incorrectness, I think, is needed right now more as ever. And Postal aged good. It's, you know, it's not like when you watch it now, you think it's an old movie where it has no relevance anymore. I think it's maybe even the opposite, because I think in today's time, a film like this would never nobody would give money to make a film like this anymore.
What was the last edgy comedy you've seen, Uwe, that's like come out in the last 10 years?
Oh, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy, right? So I just watched on Netflix this You People thing with Jonah Hill, and I just switched it off after 25 minutes. They did all
Sounds right.
You know, for like this kind of political correctness you have to do now, when you get the diversity writers and this and this and this. So it's just total bullshit. It's not the way you can make comedies in making it acceptable for everybody. No, it has to be offensive for a lot of people. Then it starts to be funny.
Well, I mean, like if we're thinking about what comedy does too, it's the court jester, right? In medieval times had to basically give the bad news to the king through comedy, which meant that he had to offend the king, but also do it through comedy. I feel like comedy kind of serves at a similar goal, in that you have to sort of talk about things that are taboo, but you do it in a funny way so that people can actually have a discussion or actually interact with whatever that taboo is.
Yeah, and I think it's also important that when you know you're in the comedy world or comedy thing, you can make jokes about everything. Nothing is racism in a free spirit. You know, like that is the thing I think that what Postal fulfills very good. And so I was shocked, like when Seth Rogen said his movies aged bad and whatever, right? The super bad or this kind of films Seth Rogen started with, that I think he should be proud of that films. And without that films, he or Jonah Hill would be unknown scale actors somewhere on CSI, right? So I mean, their career was to do like disgusting under the belt comedies, but that made them fun.
Yeah.
If you take half of the jokes out of Hangover, it would be also like no fun anymore. It needs this kind of fuck moments. Otherwise, it's not funny. And I think it's a very bad. I think for comedies, the times today is actually the worst.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
the worst time to make comedies.
There is kind of a grand tradition, of all of these like Airplane, these parody movies that like are going after a specific genre or trying to make jokes or hay out of some particular.
There goes
We're losing you, Erich.
Piece of movie making. With Postal, do you think? Oops, sorry. With Postal, did you look at anything in particular you wanted to base it off of besides the game, I guess you could say?
Yeah, I mean, the how it came to Postal was the Postal fan club contacted me actually, and they said like, we are the German fan club of Postal, and I said I never heard about it, and so then I went in contact to Vince Desi, you know, and ask him like, are you interested if we make a film out of your video game? And he said, yeah, it's interesting. And the first script came from them, but it was more like Rampage, like my other, like it was not a comedy. And I felt after playing the game, I felt like that it can be only a comedy. It's like idiotic to try to do a serious movie out of this. And so then they liked the approach. And I don't think they were so happy about the whole Bush, Bin Laden thing in it, whatever.
That's some of the best stuff.
I need to
that aged the best, to be honest. Like after the Epstein painting came out, I think that aged pretty damn well.
I think one of the jokes that aged really well from that too, after, you know, we've pulled out of Afghanistan and everything, is Bush calling up Bin Laden, asking him to destroy the pipelines to get an insurance payout.
You know, so because it's kind of like the absurdity of reality is a lot of times even more as you can even make up, right? That the only plane after September 11 leaving the US had the Bin Laden family in. So I mean, you cannot make things up like this, you know, and that because there were so rich business people in the Saudi that they had deals with the Bush family, and that it's so close together that the enemy number one then of America after this is actually the son of people, you know, it's like you cannot make shit up like this. And, you know, and that is, I mean, since Trump, you have it basically all like this, like it's like Postal in the White House for 4 years. But I felt like it's a great opportunity to do like a genre parody on scenes, but also a political parody at the same time, you know, and I like things they go like further, like, you know, when the people say, "Oh, you cannot do this," that is when I start laughing. So then when personally when I watch films or whatever, you know, when it gets off the tracks, I love that shit. Like when it gets really, really down and dirty and active.
Well, on that note, I wanted to pay you a lot of respect because in this movie that is wall-to-wall edgy jokes, you as the director, you put yourself in the movie, playing yourself, and in my opinion, you have like the edgiest jokes of them all, and you're willing to say them in your own movie. So, like, I tip my hat to you. That was amazing.
Yeah, you know, I felt like I should be a pedophile now.
Yes.
I totally stole all the gold. You know, there was that whole internet campaign where people actually wrote, I filmed all my films with Nazi gold. And I said, absolutely, 100%. Somebody has to do something with the gold. And, you know, but the funny thing was that nobody mind, like J.K. Simmons is in it. There are like extras in it, right? So
well, you have
that they could do this.
Yeah, you had Seymour Cassel, who's like a really classical. He was in all the John Cassavetes movies, and every time I see him in there, I'm like, man, how did he get Seymour Cassel? You know, he's a classic. He's a classic actor.
Yeah,
a lot of really good actors. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, look, his side buddy was the Mike Huddleston, right? So the Big Lebowski actor.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, he played the Big Lebowski. So they were like the two old guys, pervert guys, want to fuck the big super. You know, and, I mean, that is the thing. You know, there are some scenes I love. For example, when he comes home and the neighbor is fucking his wife.
Oh yeah,
and the comedy is, of course, that he doesn't care at all. Normally you would like, you know, he comes in and put like a total panic, oh, your husband is home. But that is not funny. Funny is that he gives a completely shit about it. And that is not what I love, you know, when it's like this kind of things going completely sideways. Or when the IRS guy is coming to the cult Dave's compound, right? And they're like, they're charging them for unallowed fruit sales. After like Taliban on the ground, and they give a total shit because it's not their, you know, it's not the thing what they're responsible for. So they're just looking for like tax fraud indications. And I love stuff like this. I think that in TV, Family Guy is still the one who is the most politically incorrect, and he gets away with it because of animation.
We are all big Family Guy fans on this podcast. We talk about it all the time.
I love Family Guy, you know. But I bet if you do Family Guy, like basically humor like this, like Family Guy, in a real show, you get canceled before they even air the second episode.
Well, have you watched the show Velma? Because you might be surprised. There's a cartoon called Velma, and it's pretty raunchy. It's pretty offensive, but just not towards the people you're not allowed to make fun of.
Peak comedy, yeah.
It does it incorrectly. You know, with Family Guy...
It's like politically correct comedy that's edgy.
Yeah. With Family Guy, I was surprised that in their season, was it last year or the year before, they made some trans jokes. I was like, whoa. They are, you know, I mean, they take pot shots at like literally everybody, but still, you know, there's so many sacred cows now. It's like you can't even like have fun, can't make jokes. And with Family Guy did it, and you know they have it up on Hulu.
It's in the funny Family Guy compilation on YouTube.
Yeah. So
And before with real actors, I mean, Veep was kind of dirty. It was Julie Dreyfus, right? But it was a great show. Just a great show. It was not like this kind of too much sexual jokes or whatever. But it was. I think Veep showed kind of accurate how politics work.
Right.
Yeah.
Armando Iannucci is just great with that.
Yeah.
Did you see
care about themselves and about nobody else? They give a total shit about it.
Did you see his movie In the Loop? The movie he made right before Veep, In the Loop. Oh, it's really good. It's a lot like Veep, but it's about this British MP who is super stupid and says in this public statement that war might be possible, which then has like the US and everyone in the EU just freaking out. You know, they're like, oh no, he's declaring war. So he goes to DC, and it's about all the DC people just completely freaking out at each other. Peter Capaldi's in it. Tony Soprano, James Gandolfini is in it. And they have all these different characters. Like there's this American politician who doesn't
I watch it tomorrow.
And he doesn't like to curse, you know, so he says like he'll replace like curse words with like, you know, get the F out of here, you know. And then there's a Scottish guy that he's paired with, Peter Capaldi, who, if you've ever met a Scot, they say fuck every other word. And it's a really funny movie.
I mean, you know, that was also with Postal. After a long time, with Postal, I came back to my first film, German Fright Movie, what was basically a German version of Kentucky Fried Movie. And that had this kind of humor, but of course on a very B movie level. But I was so happy with Postal to go back to this. And but we had a lot of people, they passed on the film. Like my production designer who did before, like In the Name of the King. You know, the producer didn't want anything to do with it, Sean Williamson. We couldn't find the window washer actor in the beginning of the set.
I would have done it. Kino, would you have done it?
You know who did it? Dan Clark, my line producer.
Oh, wow.
Because we had no idea. They're like, oh, I'm not doing it, whatever. And
well, I mean, I think that for like kids who might be watching this now, I mean, it's actually kind of amazing how many people that I've met, like these younger people do not remember 9/11, but I remember 9/11, and it was like something changed overnight in America after 9/11. It was a huge difference, you know, between on the 12th, it was a whole different America. It felt like. And to have a 9/11 joke,
really, the entire movie is a 9/11 joke.
But
really,
but like opening the film with a 9/11 joke, and during
5 years after the event, like this is 2006, right?
Damn.
Yeah, but that is how I think that is how you have to do it.
I agree completely. Like I'm on board.
Yeah, you know, they have to hurt people or make people think. And make people reflect, right? So, and I think that is, I mean, I did a film in Germany, got a total shit show recently last year, was the Hanau film, like a German guy ran amok in 2 shisha bars in real, like by Frankfurt in Hanau, and killed 9 people. Florian 100% knows the case. And so he shot 9
I'm not fully current.
He doesn't go out. Florian doesn't go outside.
I don't listen to the news all that much.
No, but so what happened was, so I did the film about it, and because I did it 1 year after it happened, and in Germany, the whole press, all of Germany, went after me and tried to cancel the film before it even started because they said it's way too early. The survivors of the terrorist shooting basically went totally out there, said he should not do this. He's like putting dirt on the victims, on our own children getting shot, whatever. And I stayed the whole time like very like calm, right? I said like, no, I'm not. Because it was not a comedy. I didn't make a comedy out of it. I made a thriller out of it, right? So, and I said, I don't know, but you start canceling a film you never watched. And the point is, if you want to stop this kind of amok runs, we should do more films about it. We should do the films faster, not 10 years later, then nobody cares anymore. So I think it's very, very important to put things out there as long that the real case is still kind of boiling, and cooking. And but they were very successful because it got barely any sales. Netflix wanted to buy it and they didn't bought it because of the whole shit show in the press. So it's out there on Apple and Amazon and stuff where we could load it up everywhere, right? So, but nobody really bought it. And I think that is, when we talked about comedy, I think that is the biggest downfall of now, that they prejudge and pre-cancel, and so they don't give artists the chance anymore to do what is necessary or to show something, and then they decide. Just canceled based on the content that, like, that could be too hot. No, we're out. So.
Well, Gus Van Sant came out with Elephant like right after Columbine. He made that like in the wake of Columbine, and then that ended up like becoming like a classic film. It won awards. I mean, there was another movie that I don't think many people are very familiar with that came out 6 months after Columbine called Duck: The Carbine School Massacre. It's not a very well-made movie, but they made it. Columbine happened, and they literally started writing the script the day after, and they had the movie out 6 months after the thing, and it's on. You can get it on Vinegar Syndrome. It's a cult. It's not a very well-made movie, but the thing is, it's like, yeah, it was reviled and whatever, but you still had people like John Waters. I think John Waters said that like he liked the chutzpah of the filmmakers just for doing that, because. But then Gus Van Sant came out with Elephant, I think the next year, which is about a school shooting, and it was a little controversial, but it wasn't like, oh, let's get all the screenings canceled.
No, but that happened like when you in my case with the Hanau film, it was like in the Frankfurt Allgemeine newspaper was like a big article: is art allowed everything? Like cannot do everything, right? And it was like the article was saying no. And I called the guy. I said, "Are you out of your mind?" And the answer has to be yes. Not like in that case of my film, no, the art is not allowed, like making something out of it. I said, absolutely. I said, we are now living in times where the people, they do something controversial. They get treated like the perpetrator who shot everybody. Where you feel like you have to see the little difference here, right? So, I mean, I didn't shoot anybody. I didn't hurt anybody. I just documented in a way, in a feature film, like what happened in that night. And I did it because there were two things why I did it. The one is the guy left a 35 pages pamphlet and the YouTube message where he was, for me, a QAnon killer. He was completely gone. He was like believing in there are like whatever turtles in underground things from Hillary Clinton, like stuff like where you think like, okay, so he was really out of it. But the second was the police failed because he had like gun licenses and he had guns and everything, even if he was for years a known crazy guy. He was in a psychiatry. He said he gets chased by the CIA, went to the police, stuff like this. And they still didn't took the guns away. So, and that is why I also did the film, because to show, like, we need to watch people better. And in US, of course, the problem is even way bigger because... Well,
almost every shooter in the US has been known by the FBI, when it's like, oh yeah, the FBI knew about these people for forever and forever.
Yeah.
And then nothing, and then they just allow it to happen. I wanted to, so I'm going to give Mumke a little, Jimmy here, a little street cred, is that he actually got his previous YouTube channel completely terminated because he was making fun of, videos making fun of Elliot Rodgers, the incel shooter in, is it Santa Clarita?
Isla Vista, Santa Barbara.
Isla Vista. Isla Vista, Santa Barbara, he was making videos, going through his manifesto, making fun of him. And YouTube, at that point, he had 300,000 subs, and YouTube completely shut down his channel overnight.
That is scheiße. That is really bad,
Yeah.
Well, speaking of getting in trouble for, the freedom of speech, I was curious because I've always heard that Germany might not have the best freedom of speech. So can you get in trouble, or do you fear getting in trouble or arrested for maybe some of these Nazi jokes that you put in your movies?
No, I was surprised that we got not censored for Postal in Germany. We got an R rating without any obligations to cut anything. And I actually asked the rating people, how come, right? Yeah, so because
you tried really hard.
Before, I got tons of NC-17s for blood, for stuff where I felt that should be an R rating, and then I got NC-17. What means it couldn't get sold in the stores. It couldn't only get ordered, right? So that was horrible for sales. Seed got NC-17, Blood Rain 1 got NC-17, Rampage 1 got NC-17 in Germany. So, and I felt that is totally over the top, but ratings, totally idiotic. So, but Postal got it, and it turned out at that day at the screening they had guests at the screening, and they were teenagers. And they were laughing their asses off. And so the rating people felt, okay, if they laugh, they cannot say it's like too harsh or whatever. So they just gave it the R rating, what was good. But the cancel culture in things not getting further. You develop something and then it gets stopped. And it's like they say, no, that is not the way we want to tell a story. And that happens in, I think, the last few years in an unbelievable, massive way, that everything is super, like in Germany, TV is super boring. Like their own, even the streamers who are all producing German content too, most of the stuff is total crap. And it's boring and it's not interesting.
Florian, do you concur?
I wonder if I'll have any trouble here because Zoom seems to be crashing constantly. I don't even know if my camera is on or not.
No, we can't see you, buddy. It's okay.
That's okay. We saw your pretty face earlier.
I'm pretty curious how Germany reacted to your movie Auschwitz that you've made, where you play a Nazi officer.
Yeah, they were also like, they cut down because Israel liked Auschwitz.
Oh, yeah?
It was running in the Vat Yashem Museum, and it got good reviews in Israel. So they didn't have a problem with the film what actually shows the killing. Wow. So, no, because they felt it's important that
Right.
You have a lot of these films about the Holocaust, about like the extra special story of Oskar Schindler, whatever, or in the strip pajamas. So you have all that stuff. But what movie shows what actually happened was people got killed. Like that was Auschwitz, and I think my movie shows that. And of course, it was very brutal and disturbing. And on purpose, I didn't have like lead actors or like this kind of stuff. It's just almost a documentary. So, and that I think in Germany also they didn't make the big fuss out of it after the negative reviews about it. Of course, the Berlin Film Festival didn't want to show it; they flipped totally out, whatever. And but I'm happy that I did it. And but I mean, the thing is this kind of what you said. It's a self-censorship. People have no courage anymore. Who's sitting there and could make a decision, could say, let's do that film. But they don't, because they don't want to come into trouble. So they stop, they stop any, let's say, over-the-top humor or super brutal or dark in any way. I had a German project, what I now dropped, is Germany in Winter was the title. And the first guy at Netflix read the script, and he said he never read something like this, and it's the most powerful thing he read from a German guy ever. And I said, yeah, then give me the fucking money to make the film. And now I'm basically responsible now for TV series and not for the films anymore. So he basically squeezed himself out, said, I give the script to my follower, and then the follower was a woman. And I don't make so much woman film, right? So in general, I'm more a male filmmaker.
We're male YouTubers.
And she doesn't. She didn't like it at all. So and then all the other TV channels, they really reacted to it, and a lot of them gave me shit for it. And they said, "Where's the solution?" So the story is very quickly: in 10 years, the Nazi Party rules Germany, and they kill all the migrants. So, but there is no good guy in the film. It's just that we follow the German police people wiping them out. And of course, everybody who reads this is totally shocked that there is no light at the end of the tunnel, right? So there is no, where's the happy end? Where are the people that are fighting against it? Where's the Oscar Schindler? Whatever, right? So, and I said, yeah, but let's face it, like, what is if they're not? Like, because the reality is not a happy end normally when you see the world's history, how that goes. So and I said that if we, or what the politics don't see, but of course all this kind of elite thinkers don't see, is the tendency, I think, worldwide, it goes in the fascism direction. Look at US. I mean, Trump lost barely. He lost the election, but he had like 48%. I mean, it's not like normally Trump should got 5%, but he got 48%, whatever, because the people don't feel represented by the other party. And I see that in France, the Le Pen, in Italy is a fascist governing now, a total right-wing government in Italy, totally right-wing in Hungary, totally right-wing in Czech Republic and in Poland. So it's like the total anti-migration, total like Christians only, whatever. So, and I see the tendencies exactly going in that direction. And if they're all on the same page, they will get violent against the migrants. So, and I see it as a real threat. And I wanted a film like George Orwell, 1984, like this kind of like, that is what happens if there is no control anymore. If the state drops law and order, if the state says, we give a shit, if they're dead, it's good for us, so go, right? So, and I think that kind of tone, what Trump did against the immigrants, everybody knows, like if you take the Mexicans out of the US, the state collapses and nobody works in restaurants anymore.
Right. Nobody wants to pick that food. Nobody wants to do the work they're doing. Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody will work, actually. They will be all just twittering. And I think it's ridiculous that this kind of lies, of course, can build this kind of threat. And I think with a movie like Postal, in a lighter way, it tells the same kind of story, the story of there is no moral. Bush has no moral, Bin Laden is a sellout, all the Taliban are totally like basically out of it, and I felt that it's very important to don't show the fear, like that people are scared. Look at Salman Rushdie, he almost got killed, right? So he got stabbed from that guy. I saw today was the first photo he released after the stabbing. So with the one with the glass, like one eye is gone. But that is why I did the opening of Postal, to show, no, fuck the Islam. Like whatever, put the fatwa. No, we cannot, but to be honest, like we cannot getting blackmailed into religious, let's say, that we don't say what we really want, that we cannot say what we really feel about something because we're scared that somebody could threaten with violence. So, and that is in regards of the Islamistic people, definitely a point. And I wanted to show that absurdity You know, how can you think these two guys and Mohammed Atta and that people, they were idiots. They were just total idiots, and they were Bin Laden would never did that.
Yeah, the opening.
The leaders of everything, the leaders of every political party, of every religious cult and whatever, of every church, they always have their little idiots who do all the work for them and gives them all the money. And that is what I showed with Uncle Dave, you know, and this kind of like in a way like that discussion. I just love that opening scene, right, where they
it's amazing
about the virgins.
Yeah, I was going to say it reminded me of Seinfeld banter, but it's the two guys who hijack the plane bantering about how many virgins they'll get after they crash into the World Trade Center. Like, that's a great way to open the movie.
You could replace them with Costanza and Jerry, or Costanza and Michael. Like,
yes.
Oh no, I'll go.
Yeah, especially Kramer.
Kramer. Yeah.
But you know what? The main point is that they make a good point in their discussion, right? That they say, did you ever thought about how long will they be virgins?
Yeah, the virginity doesn't last that long.
And then
it grows back.
Exactly. Like after 6 months, you feel like, what the fuck?
Yeah, this sucks.
Gonna get fresh virgins all the time.
Right? So, and you know, and then when Osama then says like, how many guarantees them? Only 20 or something, right? So 20. And they're like totally disappointed. Like, 28. I'm not flying in any skyscraper here. Yeah. So.
I also like the joke, you know, talking about this was definitely something that was happening in the 2000s. But I mean, I think it's been happening in America before then. Actually, there was a joke about it in a movie called True Stories back in 1984, I think, where a guy was like proclaiming that there's going to be no such thing as a weekend, that workers are going to love working so much that they'll work 7 days a week.
Look at E-Rich.
And you know, but in this, when Bin Laden goes to the conference and the guy is like, put meth in their water so they can work 72 hours at a time.
Do they actually, does the military really give that to the Air Force to do missions?
Yes.
Do we think
like
that
Adderall.
Is that what was happening in Top Gun Maverick for the mission at the end?
They're all
I think that happens in Tom Cruise every single day of his life. Otherwise, he wouldn't look like this in every movie. He doesn't age. So I don't know, but maybe he's the proof that Scientology has something.
You have a lot of Scientology jokes in this movie too. That was pretty early on that.
Steak for every young or something. I don't know how that works, but it's.
I also want to say, you know, the other big Scientologist is Beck, and I think he looks younger now than he did in the 90s.
Yeah. But I don't know if they actually do CGI on his face the whole time, you know, like to make it a little more smooth and stuff like this.
I think it's a Thetan that's just like, you know, repairing his skin, the Thetan inside of him from the volcano where all the alien souls are that he communes with.
Mr. Boll, have you ever seen the film Iron Man 3? The film Iron Man 3, they rip off one of your jokes in this movie, like beat by beat, when Osama is doing the fake recording and then it zooms out and he's in his studio and he has a different accent. The same exact thing happens in that movie.
Oh, they did. I mean, we had the whole thing, look at the poster from Blood Rain, right? And then look at the Phantom Menace that was Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh.
Poster is a total ripoff. It's really like they stole our poster.
Oh, that's funny.
There were a few of these things where people got like inspired by me in a way and copied stuff. Look, when I was at the film market in LA in November, and I was like looking for an editor for so I will shoot a film in New York in March. So you're the first people to hear it, but I cannot give more infos. But so I had a guy said, I have an editor. He's coming here. He wants to talk to you. He is interested to edit your film. And then I came and said, I'm Ethan Manikis. And I said, okay, whatever. So I thought that that it made like boom, right? But then he said, no, I did Sin City, I did From Dusk Till Dawn. He was also the director on Mashidi, so he's a
Wait, I used to work at a studio. I used to work. I live in Austin. This is
Robert Rodriguez studio.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I used to work at Troublemaker.
Yeah, and he said he saw Postal 10 times. He said that's my favorite film of yours. And so, and I felt like Postal made the rounds, but not in public. I think people are aware, like from the film industry, people of just fans of films, they are aware what Postal really was, and it has a huge cult following. Because if I go to like a convention or something and people lining up and have to sign the DVDs, half of it is Postal.
Wow.
And you can say a quarter of it is Rampage. And all the other 30 films are the other 25%. But these two films had the biggest impact, I think, to an audience. But of course, not in regards of box office or something, but in regards of it stick with the people.
Yeah. And speaking, I guess circling back to the restorations, I was talking to Lewis because he was telling me about it. And what's on the Blu-ray right now, I guess, was a HD telecine of the film, and they also did like digital noise reduction, which is essentially to kind of take out the grain a bit. But he was saying that with these new 4K scans that they're not going to do digital noise reduction, so it's actually going to be a bit grittier and grainier, which will give it a different feeling than the original. Which
he contacted me because of my Run Amok film, right? So that is what he wanted to re-release. So now I was able to find 2 reels of it only. So we have to scan the 2 reels, and then we have to have the rest copied from the stupid DVD on it. But he still wanted to do it. And I know it's horrible, and I couldn't find. I had for years. When the print, like the labs closed, right? So all the labs closed, Technicolor closed, and then things got lost. Things got destroyed. Things got in a basement somewhere. Then you don't know where it is anymore, And that were the prints I could find now was Postal, Far Cry, In the Name of the King, Final Storm, and the 2 Amok Run Amok things, and a Blood Rain. So I could find them, but he's not doing he's doing, I think, Blood Rain, Postal, a Run Amok, and Final Storm, but he's not doing In the Name of the King because he doesn't have I cannot give him the rights. The rights are with Fox, and Fox are not doing it. Yeah. And I told to Fox, how can you not do a 4K version of In the Name of the King? That thing runs the TV up and down and up and down. You would make, again, the same amount of money for TV sales with a new version in 4K. And but everybody got fired at Fox, right? So they're all gone. Everybody I ever talked to.
Disney. It's Disney now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's been a huge problem with Fox generally. Yeah. They're not doing rep screenings. They're not doing a lot of things.
Well, it's like when Disney took over Fox, like the first thing they did, or one of the first things they did, was cancel all the repertory screenings of early Fox films. So they called the theaters and they said, you can't show Aliens anymore. You can't show these films anymore. Like, we're taking them all back. We're putting them in the vault. We're going to control exactly how they release, which is stupid. Yeah. Then they also took films that Fox was showing, and they completely buried them. Like, I'm pretty sure that they buried... they 100% buried Terrence Malick's film Hidden Life. The stuff that I heard from theater owners was crazy. They were burying movies. They were just it felt like they bought Fox to try to destroy it. That's kind of how it felt at first. But Disney is so much, like, when we're talking about the whole politically correct culture and everything, Disney is like one of the worst offenders at that. They want things to be G-rated or PG, and it's like, and now they own something 40% of Hollywood, which is disturbing.
Yeah. No, I know, and I was shocked when Fox got sold, and they had various of my films. And I mean, that is the thing. Also, with the conglomerates getting bigger, you also have less decision makers. You don't have there were like various people at Fox. They liked more R-rated films.
Yeah.
Because they all got fired, right? So you have nobody to talk to there anymore about anything, and that is the problem with a lot of with a lot of companies. Basically, Universal was the same. They did Blood Rain, they did Postal and stuff like on the home video side, right? And then they canceled the whole home video side. Like they were all gone, and then Vivendi got spinned off, and Universal Music got sold, and so in the very end, you end with Steven Spielberg. Right. Whatever. So, yeah.
Sorry, a bit of a newbie question here. So, all the cameras, they just produce like a single reel, and that reel is never copied, and it's all kept in one place. Is that how I'm understanding it correctly, or are there multiple copies out there of them?
No, that is the thing. There are copies of all my movies out somewhere, but I don't have them. And I don't know, like I would maybe go over Facebook or whatever and ask who finds copies of my films, to do new 4K versions. And that is really a bad situation. And I have in my, under my, basically in the basement, I had various stuff. Somewhere has to be 9086 Tannerets. But I cannot find it. I have too many boxes stapled over. I would need a day to go to the bottom of it, basically, what is also horrible, right? So, but at one point it has to happen. But I don't really know where they put all the the interpositive. You have a print. You can make out of a print a 4K, but you get a way better 4K on the on the positive, right? So, so that is what I want, and I have a lot of things
So that's so what you mean is, just to kind of make this a bit more clear to the audience. So you have the master negative, right, of the film, and then you print that to a positive film. This is something that you can show that has the colors that you want, right? And then you do a 4K scan of that positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And but you have to match the sound again and stuff, right? So it's not a film print where everything is on, but it's the better quality as the final print. So and you get the better results. They do fake 4K scans too, right? In Germany, the Blood Rain Director's Cut, the distributor, they wanted to do this last fall, do a new 4K fake thing. It's like you can fake it, but it's not so good as a. But then I said, I found an interpositive. Let's do it for real, know. And now Louis is doing that. Nice. So and that's of course then 10 times better. So they delayed the new Blu-ray because we're doing now all in the is it in LA?
It's in LA. Yeah, it's in LA.
Okay.
Well,
because
and something
my guys are ready to ship it to him, but he didn't email me back the address and and stuff like this where they have to ship.
Well, I have a call with him in 2 hours, so I'll remind him.
On the pulse.
So much networking today.
But something also about film restorations. I want to see if you and remasters, if you've dealt with this. Is I was sharing this like on my Facebook and stuff. I was sharing this article around from Filmmaker Magazine about how there's a big problem actually in film restoration, and the big problem actually is it's in Paris, and I think it's in Rome, where I think it's the Eclair lab in Paris, and I forget what the Rome lab is, but they miscolor time
all the time. It's insane.
All the time. So like there's a new 4K restoration that just came out and it's playing everywhere of Possession, Andrei Zuwowski's 81 film, right? Eclair did the new restoration. Now Zuwowski died in 2016. So actually I went out and I bought the 2011 Blu-ray of it because he oversaw the color timing of the 2011 one. The new one is completely blue. They fucked it all up. Like it does not look good. It's 4K, sure, but they miscolored the film and it looks like they put a blue filter over everything. Have you dealt with this with any of your movies?
No, but I worked with in Paris is another lab too, and it's maybe closed now. But I think in Italy is LTC, and it was Italy was Technicolor too, but they all closed down. So I don't even know if in Italy is another lab. So no, I mean they normally did, but they never did a scan. They did only like prints, right? They got internegative delivered from LA or wherever, Technicolor from Vancouver, and then they did prints, right? So, but they got the video masters normally from us, and at that point it was just HD. It was just never a 4K. It was basically not even 2K. So that is a big problem. I know now why Martin Scorsese was so eager
right
to keep like the possibility to show 35, the possibility to make prints, or I mean if all labs close forever, it's completely over. The film is done.
Well, and it's not just like, I know of a few good labs here in the States. There's Color Lab in Rockville, Maryland that's really good, and of course there's a couple labs still in LA, but there's a lab in Atlanta. The lab but it's like, it's not that much. The lab in Atlanta was sustained really just by The Walking Dead, because that was shot on 16 millimeter film, and that was shot in Atlanta. So they essentially
they even changed that as well. Like in the last couple of seasons, they're not using 16 anymore. So
and but getting, if we don't have film labs, not only like can we not shoot on film, but also like these older movies that need to be restored. And I'm actually in a video I'm coming out with this weekend. I'm talking about Martin Scorsese's Film Foundation in it, and how there's movies from like all over Africa, all over different countries in Asia, Eastern Europe, that like never, like they didn't have the money back then to restore the movies. And now it's like things like the Film Foundation are going and they're restoring these movies. They're getting the 35 millimeter prints. They're doing like the 4K scans of it. They're showing it and they're kind of reintroducing them into society. Like, and that just can't happen. Like, how many films from the last 100 years are we going to lose if we don't have the proper labs to do any of this?
Yeah, and that happens. I mean, when I worked in Germany with Taunus Film, we got bought by Cinemedia, and then Cinemedia bought all the Gaia print, like the labs from Gaia and Ari. They bought Ari. Then they went bankrupt. Everything got closed. Then there was only film and video print in Berlin. They did only my Run Amok film and my Barschel film, because they were small. They were not like for bigger releases. So, and then everything switched to just the way it is now, and the movie theaters switched. I would say 80% of the movie theaters have no chance to show 35. Like that's all.
Yeah, only if you're in a big city. Here in Austin, Richard Linklater's Austin Film Society. I saw Joachim Trier's movie Oslo, August 31st and 35. Tarantino has his New Beverly Cinema in LA that shows 35. The Alamo Drafthouse here will sometimes show 35 movies. They're doing a what's that Stephen King movie that Stephen King I think wrote and directed?
I don't know
about the truck that came alive.
Yeah, they're showing that
Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum
they're showing
Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive
and 35. Yeah, they're showing that I think this week in 35. But you have to be like in a cinephile city like Austin or LA or New York or London, or Paris. Like otherwise, in a suburban town or even a smaller town or smaller city, like you're just not gonna. That's just not gonna exist. And 35, like there's something to seeing a movie on 35. Like I saw at the New Beverly Cinema. It was one of Tarantino's personal prints of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and some of the reels of the film had pinked, and actually, like it's fun to watch the movie, seeing like the different reels, and it's like, oh, this all of a sudden it goes to like kind of pink and white, and you see the degradation of the film, and it was one of the original from the original run of the film in 1975. But
it was a real used print to run like hundreds of times before.
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of like, there's something cool, and you're not going to get it anywhere else of like watching this sort of decaying piece of art, like I can watch the movie with a new, 4K or whatever on my TV, but it's like you can only experience like the pinked film and like at the New Beverly.
Yeah, what an experience. But how are we feeling about the possibility of AI restoring these old movies that have been lost to time? Do you guys think it'll be possible to easily restore them at some point just by running an algorithm over them?
I don't know if that works. I have no clue.
Yeah. I think that...
So you just, let's say you have just the HD or Digi Beta Master. So that's the only thing you have. How should AI make that better? Or like what should happen there? I mean, I don't know.
Well, AIs can automatically, or they can take black and white footage and color it pretty well, can't it? Could it be a similar process to that?
I've tried that.
Grasp what the movie was about and then make choices. But I guess there's a lot of error in it. So yeah, you have to manually.
I would say
tell it what's wrong.
I would say that just like with writing, or just like with a lot of things, that AI can possibly be used as a kind of preliminary tool. Because a lot of these restorations too, it's like taking scratches and dust specks and stuff out from the film, like frame by frame. And I'm not a software guy, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's, in the near future, some sort of AI that kind of can detect scratches and, dust and specks and stuff like that, and then take that out of the film. But up-resing via AI usually doesn't look that good to me.
Great, yeah.
Yeah. It does. I think that it can be used as a tool to, kind of maybe clean up the film in a sense, but I don't think so much like up. It's better just to get a good quality scan of the film, because that's really what you want, is what you want to see on film. Like you can't really compare film to digital and resolution. I forget who said it. Maybe it was Scorsese, that it's like digital is like a digital painting, and film is like oil. It's like an oil painting. You can't like. It's different. Yeah. But anyways, we're coming up to an hour, so I think this might be a good time to start winding things down. Do you guys have any more questions for Mr. Boll?
Were there any lines in the movie that the actors were reluctant to say?
Not that I remember, to be honest.
I think J.K. Simmons especially is one of the few men who's not afraid to say anything. Like even in Whiplash, which he won an award for, he's still dropping the F slur. He'll say anything. He's a true professional.
Yes, and I mean, in retrospective, I didn't have a lot of time with him. Right, he came in, did the shooting day. I think I had like half an hour where I talked to him over the lunch break, and but he said he did it because he wanted to support the political message, right? So, and I think that at that point, I mean, it was a few years after September 11th, the situation changed, of course, right? The political message was they started an idiotic Iraq war too. What has nothing to do with September 11th. So what's the, and I mean, this kind of absurdity gets repeated over and over in the real world. Look at Darfur. I did that Darfur film about that. 500,000 people got in Darfur, actually hacked into pieces, right? So, and nobody did anything about it because Darfur is worthless for the Western world, right? So it's not like Ukraine where you have massive gas and all the wheat and stuff like this, and it's of course to the border to Russia. It controls all the Black Ocean, so at the Black Sea and stuff like this. So Ukraine has a huge, let's say,
strategic importance.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So, and we always acting like we do everything based on just moral thoughts about the poor Ukrainians, but if they would be somewhere else, nobody would give a shit about them. Yeah. So, and I mean, that is the thing. What I think shows a movie like Postal very well. This two-faced, total bullshit. What's going on, and it's in the end all the money. The money is moving the history of the world, basically. The greed, and and I feel like this kind of. That comes very much across in almost every scene. They're full of themselves, and they just want the benefit for themselves. Every individual.
Well, I wanted to actually say this about Postal. Is that in the game Postal 2, like one of the funniest things about the game, and that was a game that I remember. I think it came out when I was in elementary and middle school. And all the boys were talking about it because, they were like, oh, you can use a cat as a silencer,
hugely important.
But what's funny about the game, and, I think the movie does a pretty good job of interpreting this, is that your missions are actually quite simple in the game. It's like get eggs, have people sign a petition. It's very like go to the bank. You have like 3 things that like any normal person should do. And the thing is that everyone in the town of Paradise is just so insane that you can't help but like get into extremely violent, encounters with everybody. And how it felt like to me is like the town of Paradise, and both in the game and in the movie, feels like to me is like if our like taboos about, we can't do this, so we can't do that, like just no longer exist. So all taboos are now just normal, everyday life, and people can have their id just sort of come to the forefront, and everyone's okay with that. Oh, like the Asian lady isn't going at the light, I'm just going to go shoot her several times. And the thing is that when you watch that, you're kind of shocked, but then you also think like, man, I know that like when somebody is at a light and it's green and they're not going, you are thinking in your mind, that you want to do something. And it's just like everyone is acting out like those like base instincts that like we have that we repress within ourselves. But it's like, no, we're just going to do it right now.
Exactly. That is also like, think about the Asian woman, right? The black cop shoots the Asian woman. and then like in today's time, like whatever, Shonda Rhimes would fell off her desk if you like whatever, you sent the script to all that top producer companies now, and they would try to arrest you. They would like put a letter on you and say like, what the fuck are you doing? It's so not correct.
Well, I honestly felt like all of those scenes play better today than they did when the movie came out. Like I didn't even see it as satirical. Like a cop shooting somebody during a traffic stop for no reason, that is just the news now. Like I'm not even joking. Like I felt like this movie has aged very well.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, like personally, I didn't think that we were missing much when we were losing political incorrectness, but seeing Postal again, one of my all-time favorite movies, I guess I do get reminded that there is sometimes a good use for just having the edgiest, craziest jokes out there, and Postal captures the humor of the game perfectly and surpasses it, and it's just so nice that we can all enjoy it now.
The one thing I was missing from the movie is that he didn't get set on fire and then put himself out by peeing up in the air.
Well, I wish he would have distracted the cops by throwing a donut on them, but peeing on the donut first so that they would throw up. A classic game mechanic.
I would love to hear the discussion with a stunt coordinator to figure out how to pull off pissing on yourself to put the fire out. I would love to hear that.
It's not easy. By the way,
that's why it wasn't.
I think Postal is one of the best stunts in the history of film, actually. And that is when the bicycle rider guy gets shot and flies backwards on the asphalt because that happened, right? So that was like, we got a guy who actually did that. So we of course we removed the rope, right? But he was falling backwards on the asphalt, biking forward like 15 miles an hour, and then whoa! And he had only little padding on the back. But I saw it, when I saw it, like I was behind my video monitor, and I felt the guy is paralyzed. I will pay for it. Like I was sure he's at least like paralyzed from the hip down or something, and he got up. And but that was a very tough stunt because you couldn't fake it. But it was a wide shot.
Right.
So and the asphalt is asphalt. That was not like a special road with like bouncy rubber or something. So that was a very tough stunt, I have to say. That was.
Oh God, we have double Florian now. Oh no!
Oh my God!
Oh my God! God, we really can't use Zoom again. I cannot believe how bad this fucking program is. Jesus!
It's all good
I
for us.
left Florian better.
Are you hearing me twice now?
No.
You're the only one who doesn't know how to use it.
No.
What do you mean? I have the program installed. I don't know how it crashes by itself.
Aren't you the developer?
Of Zoom? I hope not. God, I'd be fired.
Okay, Mr. Boll, on the subject of stunts gone wrong, I wanted to get your take as somebody who's in the industry. Should Alec Baldwin be in prison?
He should be in prison for other things. No, I think he. I mean, look, I was not on set. I don't know how much he was like playing with the gun. Look, I'm the big shot, whatever. I don't know how many jokes he did, but the reality is that I have to say two things about it. Also about the next film I'm doing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's so. If you get a gun from the armorer or the AD as ready, right? You as an actor, I don't think any actor I ever saw started controlling what bullets are in that gun or whatever. You just
you'd probably make it worse.
Rounds on the film set, period. Right, so that they had live rounds and were shooting in the afternoon in the desert around is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
So for me, the armorer, she was that young girl who should never be an armorer in that age. Because her father was one. I think she got it all like laid out that she
nepotism.
And I think she made all the mistakes. And you cannot also not, as the armorer, when it comes to the shooting on camera, be not there. I think it's ridiculous. You know, when we had, like, I think about Alone in the Dark. Alone in the Dark, we had shots where 11,000 live rounds were fired in one shot out of like 40 different machine guns, high caliber things. And we never had an accident. And that has to do with just you have the right people doing their job, you know, and then it works. So, and I think the armorer, she should go to jail for like involuntary manslaughter. I think Alec Baldwin is kind of a press stunt now to get the most attention to the trial, and he will be there, and you know. But what it triggered, and that is really, really bad, because I see that in the New York film I'm doing, everybody's pissing in their pants now.
Right.
Like you have like discussions, like I have like besides our Zoom meeting, I had like every day now hours and hours of Zoom meetings with possible crew, talking to the AD, doing, you know, like they're flipping completely out. Like you have a scene where one guy gets shot and you think like you shoot like whatever, like the Second World War again. And you think like, are you insane? Like, can we not shoot a blank and have a script going? What's the problem now? They all want only gas guns. They want electro guns. They want like whatever that you do all CG, like everything, right?
But CG doesn't look good. Like having the squibs looks so much better.
No, I said also I'm not doing scripts CGI. We can do the muzzle flash CGI. That is no problem. But then it doesn't make a noise, right? So and then the actor is reacting wrong. You need, I like to at least have a half load round, and it's horrible discussions. I'm sure when we will shoot, they will do endless safety meetings for absolutely no reason. You know, where you say, we're really not here at the Alamo, right? So I mean, it's ridiculous. And I think that will really hurt the film industry because it will make everything way more expensive. You have way slower shooting based on this in action sequences, and things will suck. And I think the actors getting totally paranoid by all the shit too.
Yeah.
Gun at me and say like I have the rubber duplicate in my hand, but they're still flipping completely out. So and I think that will be that will has very bad consequences.
It's basically the 9/11 of movies, isn't it?
Yeah, we should make an our Alec Baldwin comedy movie now.
Oh yeah.
You could do it like a behind the scenes like Day for Night or something, but it just ends in Alec Baldwin killing and
killing Donald Trump can play Alec Baldwin to get revenge.
No, like people are freaking out now, but there's been shooting in movies since, like some of the first movies, like some of the first movies were Westerns, like The Great Train Robbery, and there was shooting in it. And you know what? There's only been a couple times when people have actually been shot. There's Brandon
Lee, right?
Yeah, Brandon Lee in The Crow, and then Elena Richardson or Elena Hutchins in is it called Rust? I think the movie was called Rust.
The movie is Rust, yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, how many movies come out each year? How many action movies come out each year where there are no accidents? I worked on several action movies that were low budget, like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies and stuff that were shoot like in Mobile. I worked on some of those. And even on those low budget ones, there were weapons masters who were controlling everything. Everything was super safe, using blanks and squibs. And, nobody was like worried because it's like, okay, yeah, we do all we do the proper safety checks, and the proper safety checks have amounted in essentially keeping everybody safe. The thing is that just on this movie, they didn't do the proper safety checks. And I think I heard too that the weapons master wasn't on set and he grabbed a gun.
I think they were fired or something. I can't remember, but
she wasn't on set. He grabbed a gun.
He was even a producer. So
he was a producer, and he and the AD didn't do the proper safety check. Is another thing. And it's like, look, it doesn't take that long to do a safety check. Make sure everything is blanked. Make sure that there's no bullets. Especially it doesn't take that long. But now I'm seeing all this bullshit. And what it's going to do is it's going to make shooting in movies and action in movies like less realistic, because also, a lot of these actors don't know how the guns react, and they're just going to be, it's going to be all over the place. So you're going to be, you're going to be able to tell, yeah, this is like an airsoft gun, or this is like not real. And you're just going to be put out of the movie all for, honestly, some bullshit indie movie.
Yeah, but let's say especially if you go to the higher caliber guns, right? If you don't actually shoot them, you cannot, like the muscle thing, like every moves, you fake it and it looks fake. So you need actually the bang and the move of the gun to make it realistic. And if you don't do this, it's horrible. And what with the Alec Baldwin film also, I felt like when I heard that they had various loaded guns just laying out, and the AD just took one and gave it to him, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like I never had that on the armorer controls all the guns. And if you have like massive guns, like as I said, we had an Alone in the Dark or Tunnel Rats or Vietnam War movie or whatever, you have like 4 or 5 armors, right? So, and then they go around and they say, look, it's loaded, just don't put the finger on the trigger, just wait for action. So they give instructions also to people. They have no clue from guns. They know then what to do. And that was really shocking. To see how loose it all went. And of course, Baldwin was a producer on it, and he was on set the whole time. So he should said something days before, right? Where he should say, look, what the fuck are we doing here with all the guns? He should said that, but instead he didn't. And when he said in the beginning, in his first interview, he said the gun basically got off by accident, right? But it's a Western, so they have a revolver. How's that working? I mean, I cannot accident shoot a revolver. If I pull the trigger back, And then a little thing is enough. But why he should pull the trigger back? It doesn't make any sense. So,
well, people who haven't shot revolvers like don't know actually that, especially the first pull of the trigger, you have to put a lot of pressure on for the first pull, because you're not just pulling it back once, you're pulling it back twice for a revolver. You know, usually they're double action, so it's just like the first pull is the hardest. And yeah, I don't believe that you could accidentally do that.
No, impossible, you know.
Yeah.
And that is why I felt he's a little off with what he's talking. And he did a lot, I think, talk to attorneys.
Yeah, I think he should have talked to attorneys.
It's always in the you know, after you'd say something this way and then 2 weeks it's different, and that he made some strategic mistakes, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I told that to one of my friends. I'm like, he needs to shut the fuck up, because like all this stuff that he's saying in public where he's constantly contradicting himself is only going to be used against him. I mean, that's what they tell you. Everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So, you know, he should have talked to a lawyer after. Yeah. I think that he, honestly, because of how like the law works, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a slap on the wrist because of this.
Lock him up. Lock him up.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's the armor that goes to jail and he gets a slap on the wrist because he's rich, you know, and like that just tends to happen. But I do think that he's going to have a hard case to make because of his statements before he talked to attorneys. Or maybe he did talk to attorneys and his attorneys were calling him going, shut the fuck up sometime. You know?
Yeah, what does he even mean? A shot went off. Wasn't he supposed to shoot someone in the scene anyways?
Yeah.
The camera was not on. He shot her before they said action. Yeah. So I mean, that is the thing. You know, if it would all happen after after the action, it would be different. But why you do this? Why you even aim at her and play with the gun around before you film? So, and that is a no-go in general. Like, don't point with the gun anywhere, right? So,
yeah, that makes sense.
It's just not okay. You know, but is it jail term is the question, right? So is it like, what is the benefit of him putting in behind bars? I mean, I think he should get probation and pay a lot of money. You know,
I mean, I would benefit from it.
What?
I would benefit from it. I would enjoy seeing him in prison. That's about it.
I think he should be put in prison for his Trump impersonations.
They're so bad. But anyways, guys, we're over an hour in. So Florian, E-Rich, is there any like last things that you want to say or ask?
Well, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for making the movies you make. Not everybody appreciates them, but they have definitely lightened my day on several occasions. And and I do love how much you stand up for yourself and go after critics. I think
when are you going to
honestly hilarious?
When are you going to box people again? Boxing is the new big thing now.
No, I did it at Alamo. I boxed Tim League.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know Tim League lives 5 minutes from my house.
What?
So
yeah.
He boxed. There was that debate, that boxing thing there.
Yeah.
And he boxed a year before me. He boxed Michelle Rodriguez, who was in my film, but also is in Fast and Furious and so on. And she almost beat his ass. So, and then I remember that Harry Knowles rolled in his wheelchair in my direction and said, "Don't hurt him! Don't hurt him!" And
oh my God.
Yeah, so no, but I was I liked him, so I didn't hurt him at all. Only a little.
Only a little.
Yeah. So no, that times are over, and it's.
I think you could probably take Harry Knowles. I think you get in the ring with him.
Florian, you're nearby. You want to go fight?
No.
No, I'm good. You know, but I mean, you know, like I think in the very end, I think the best, because what you said, like that, I defend myself. I think the over time, right? Over time, it's the best way to go through life is to just don't get put down, right? So just yourself, give credit where credit is due, right? So I know that I did some films that were not good, right? So, but this basic ball bashing kind of everything what the guy did was always shit is just not true, and I know it's not true. Because I'm a big film buff myself, I can judge films, even my own, and bring them in relationship to other stuff. And I know I did 34 films is a lot, but at least 5 of them I think are very, very good. And they didn't age bad like a lot of other films aged bad. Put Rampage in tonight. It's 15 years old. It's more actual as ever.
Yeah, love that
or
one.
the humanity and what is behind it, right? The lie with in basically, in this kind of, when he said we should kill everybody. It's the best what Earth for the Earth would be, right? It's true. It's sad, but it's true. It's a lot of things. What Bill Williamson says in Rampage is cynical, but it's true. We live
true. It's also true.
Identity crisis, basically. Because we don't admitting reality, and we don't admit how things are for real, and that is ultimately a disaster for the planet. So, okie dokie. So we can talk another time again, no problem.
Yeah, this has been fun. Here, let me
absolutely
let me get Florian back in here for the final Jews. He keeps the game developer, the software guy, can't work the software. That's
pretty bad software. Okay. Well, I'm just glad that Uwe Boll came here and he talked about how Trump is a concern, maybe even a fascist. I don't want to nail you down on that one. And I'm just glad that you're not, in fact, a pedophile Nazi like in the movie.
It'd be better, right? So.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Boll, thank you so much for coming on. We'll have to do this again. And also, if you're ever in Austin, and you want to fight Tim Lee again, or not.
Tim should invite me again. I was there at the film festival. And if I shoot now in New York, he should invite my new film. And then I'm coming over.
Yeah.
But hey, next time you have a role that is so offensive nobody wants to do it, call me. I will do anything in any movie you ever make. I'm willing.
Yeah, he's had his sex tape released, so it's pretty much all out there.
Anything is on the table here.
I don't want to see it. Don't do it on a demo tape. So.
He specializes in school shooters. I'm sure you find some kind of role for him.
That's right.
Anyways, it's been a pleasure, Mr. Boll. We'll see you another time. Thank you so much for coming on.
See you soon. Good night from Germany. Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.